Most people don't go broke because they're lazy. They go broke because they misunderstand the game. They think a high income means they're winning. But the rich know income is temporary, assets are permanent. You can lose a job overnight, but you can't lose the mindset that built your wealth. The question isn't how much you earn, it's what earns for you when you stop working. And once you understand that difference, money will never control you again. Freedom doesn't come from earning more, it comes from needing less and owning more. Most people spend their lives buying comfort, but the rich spend theirs building capacity. They don't work harder, they work smarter with purpose. They don't chase money, they build vehicles that carry them to freedom. The difference is invisible to the eye, but powerful enough to change your life forever. You know, one of the greatest lessons life ever taught me is this: income will feed you, but assets will free you. Most people never realize that difference until they've spent decades trading their time for a paycheck that vanishes the moment they stop showing up. You see, income is short term. It's like food on the table, necessary, yes, but temporary. The moment you stop working, the plate is empty again. Assets, on the other hand, are the trees that keep bearing fruit long after the seed has been planted. The rich understand this difference deeply. They don't just work for money, they make money work for them. They understand that freedom doesn't come from earning more, but from owning more of what earns for you. When I was a young man, I thought hard work was the only answer. I worked long hours, showed up early, stayed late, and still, the moment I stopped, the money stopped too. I remember one winter when sales slowed down, and for the first time, I realized I didn't own anything that could work in my place. My effort was my only engine, and that's when it hit me. As long as my money depended entirely on my effort, I could never be truly free. That moment changed everything. I decided I would stop working only for income and start building something that could grow while I rested. Now, the difference between income and assets is more than numbers, it's philosophy. Income is linear, assets are exponential. When you build an asset, whether it's a small business, a rental property, a dividend-paying investment, or intellectual property that earns royalties, you're multiplying time. You're creating a silent partner that works while you don't. And that's the magic of freedom, waking up one day and realizing your money no longer depends entirely on your presence. That's when you stop chasing survival and start designing life. Most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they're busy in the wrong direction. They're feeding themselves today but starving their future. Every dollar they earn goes to feed a habit, a moment, or an emotion. But the 3%, the ones who think differently, they ask a simple question before every purchase. Does this feed me once, or does it feed me forever? You'd be amazed at how that one question changes your life. Because once you start seeing money as a seed, you stop eating it all and start planting some. So here's the challenge I gave myself, and I'll give it to you tonight. Before the year ends, build one source of passive income. Just one. Maybe it's a small investment account, a side business, or an online idea that earns while you sleep. Reinvest at least 20% of your earnings into something that can grow without you. Don't just trade hours, trade ideas, discipline, and patience for freedom. Because at the end of the day, a paycheck will feed your body, but assets, they feed your life. You know, most people lose the wealth game before they even start because they're playing it too fast. They chase quick wins, fast money, and instant results. But wealth doesn't respond to speed, it responds to strategy. The poor chase what's urgent, while the rich pursue what's important. It's the difference between reaction and vision. True wealth, my friends, is a long game. It's not a sprint to the finish line. It's a marathon of discipline, patience, and perspective. And here's the truth. If you think in days, you'll live in pressure. But if you think in decades, you'll live in peace. When I was younger, I wanted everything right away. I wanted success fast, I wanted results now, and I wanted life to reward me the moment I worked hard. But life doesn't work that way. I remember planting a few fruit trees on my small property back then. Every day I'd walk outside, expecting to see apples after a week or two, and of course, there were none. I was impatient. Then one day, an old farmer friend said to me, "You can't rush nature, son. You can only nurture it. You can't rush it. You must build it with care, consistency, and time." The rich understand that the secret to financial freedom isn't found in the next deal or the next stock. It's in the vision that spans decades. They don't ask, "What can I gain this month?" They ask, "What will this decision mean for me 10 years from now?" Because every dollar, every investment, and every choice compounds, not just financially, but mentally. When you stretch your timeline, you automatically improve your judgment. You stop making emotional decisions and start making strategic ones. That's why the wealthy grow calmer as they grow richer. Their horizon is longer and their patience deeper. Most people, though, measure their success emotionally, not intelligently. They panic when the market dips, they celebrate when it spikes, and they live on a roller coaster of reactions. But the rich, they review their progress annually, not emotionally. They understand that a bad week doesn't ruin a good decade. They have a 10-year plan with clear milestones, and they measure progress by consistency, not chaos. So here's what I've learned. You need to create a vision that outlives your moods. A 10-year wealth plan that tells you where you're going, even when motivation fades. Write it down, make it measurable, and review it every year. And when fear or impatience whispers in your ear, remind yourself. Wealth is like a tree. It grows quietly underground before it shows above the surface. Don't dig it up just to see if it's growing. Keep watering, keep nurturing, keep believing. Because the rich don't win by speed, they win by strategy. And the race, my friends, always belongs to those who endure. Most people misunderstand the purpose of saving. They think saving money means safety, but that's only half the truth. You see, money that just sits still is like water in a stagnant pond. It begins to lose its freshness, its power, its potential. Inflation slowly eats at its value, and fear quietly steals its purpose. The rich, however, understand something different. Money kept idle shrinks in value, but money set in motion multiplies. They don't save to hoard, they save to invest. Every dollar they hold has a mission, not a resting place. I remember when I was younger, I used to feel proud looking at a growing bank balance. It made me feel secure, even powerful. But then I realized that the money sitting there wasn't working for me. It was sleeping while inflation was awake. The rich don't let their money sleep, they give it a job. They know that every dollar's a little worker. If you send it out to earn, it brings back friends. If you lock it up out of fear, it just grows old and weak. Saving is important, yes, but only when it has direction. The real purpose of saving is to prepare capital for opportunity. The poor save to survive, the rich save to multiply. The difference lies in the intention. When I first started saving with the purpose of investing, everything changed. I set up a simple system. Every month, a portion of my income automatically moved into an investment account. No emotions, no delays, no negotiations with myself. Automation removes temptation, and discipline builds momentum. The key is not to save what's left after spending, but to invest what's saved before spending. That shift alone can change your entire financial destiny. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but what if I lose money? That's the fear that keeps most people poor. You don't have to gamble. You just have to grow in knowledge. Learn the basics of compounding, asset allocation, and risk management. Compounding is one of the wonders of the world. It's proof that time is the best business partner you'll ever have. The longer your money works, the harder it works for you. I remember when I first truly understood compounding. I realized that every dollar invested wisely could become 10 if given enough time and patience. That revelation made me more careful about how I use my money, not in a fearful way, but in a strategic one. Don't use savings as a safety blanket, use them as seed capital. Seeds aren't meant to stay in your hand. They're meant to go into the ground. Money is the same. You don't protect wealth by hiding it, you protect it by growing it. So stop saving just to feel secure. Save with purpose. Save to create motion, opportunity, and growth. Because wealth doesn't come to those who guard money, it comes to those who guide it. And when you start guiding your money with intelligence and courage, you'll find that it always knows the way home, multiplied. There comes a point in every person's journey when they realize that working harder isn't the answer. You can trade hours for dollars only for so long before you run out of hours. The key is not to work harder, but to work smarter, to turn what you know into something that works for you. The wealthy have mastered this principle. They understand that their greatest asset isn't their job, it's their skill set. Every skill mastered is a seed, and when planted in the right soil, it grows into equity, ownership, freedom, and legacy. When I first began my career, I was like most people, working long hours, doing my best, hoping that effort alone would lead to success. But effort without strategy is like a ship without a sail. It moves, but not necessarily in the right direction. One day a mentor told me, if you keep trading time for money, you'll always be limited by the clock. Find a way to make your value independent of your presence. That single idea changed the way I approached everything. You see, the poor and middle class are taught to perform. The rich are taught to produce. There's a difference. Performing means showing up and getting paid for effort. Producing means creating something that pays you whether you show up or not. The moment you shift from performer to producer, your income stops depending on your time and starts depending on your creativity. That's where equity begins. Let's say you're skilled at something: writing, designing, speaking, cooking, teaching, managing, repairing, whatever it may be. Most people stop at the level of employment. They offer their skill for a wage. But the rich ask, how can I own what I do? They take that same skill and convert it into something scalable. They write a book, launch a course, build a system, start a business, or license their knowledge. That's not fantasy. It's just leverage. It's multiplying your impact without multiplying your hours. I remember when I started sharing my lessons publicly. At first, it was just small talks, free sessions, anything to share what I'd learned. But then I realized those lessons could be recorded, transcribed, refined, and shared with thousands, even millions. My words stopped being an event and became an asset. I was no longer paid for the hour. I was paid beyond the hour. That's the beauty of turning skills into equity. You build once, and it serves you again and again. If you have a skill, don't just protect it, package it. Teach it, digitize it, license it. And if you don't have one yet, invest time learning a skill that produces, not just performs. The world rewards creation far more than participation. Every product, every course, every business started as someone's skill transformed into ownership. So ask yourself, am I just earning or am I building? Because earning feeds you for the moment, but building gives you freedom for life. The rich know this well. Your skills are the raw material of your fortune. Don't spend your life renting them out. Own them, nurture them. Let them compound into something that outlasts your hours and outlives your effort. That's the road from labor to legacy. I've met plenty of people who earn a fortune, but very few who keep one. And that's because most people confuse high income with wealth. They think that if the numbers on their paycheck are big, they've made it. But here's the truth. Wealth isn't measured by what you earn. It's measured by what stays, what grows, and what flows back to you, even when you're not working. That's why the rich don't chase flash, they chase flow. Cash flow is king. I remember sitting with a man who made a tremendous amount of money every year. On paper, he was successful. He drove the cars, wore the suits, lived in the big house. But when we talked about his finances, it became clear he was broke with style. Every dollar that came in went right back out. His money was like water through a sieve. No matter how fast he poured it in, there was nothing left at the end of the month. He was busy feeding his lifestyle, but starving his future. That's the trap of income without discipline. The rich play a different game. They focus on creating systems of income that feed them continuously. They build cash flow that works even when they rest. See, the average person spends their life chasing single payments, a salary, a commission, a contract. But those are temporary. They come, they go, and they stop the moment you stop. The wealthy focus on building pipelines, not buckets. A bucket runs dry, a pipeline keeps flowing. Rental income, dividends, royalties, business ownership, these are the pipelines that sustain wealth. They don't just pay you once, they pay you again and again. The goal is not to have money that disappears when you stop working, but money that keeps showing up long after you've stopped. I learned this lesson when I started tracking every dollar that moved in and out of my life. It was uncomfortable at first. I discovered how much I was losing to little leaks, unnecessary spending, impulsive buys, overlooked fees. But awareness changed everything. I began to see that managing money wasn't about how much I earned, but how much I retained. Once I got control over my outflow, I could focus on building inflow that didn't depend on constant effort. Slowly, I began acquiring assets that paid me, small at first, but steady. A rental here, an investment there, royalties from my work. Each stream added another layer of security and freedom. The truth is, cash flow is a reflection of financial maturity. Anyone can earn, but not everyone can sustain. The wealthy understand that money behaves best when it has direction. They don't let emotion dictate their spending. They let purpose guide it. So track your flow. Know exactly where every dollar comes from and where it goes. Then build assets that produce more of it. Investments that pay you. Systems that sustain you. Habits that protect you. Remember, it's not the size of your paycheck that makes you wealthy. It's the consistency of your cash flow. Income might feed you for a moment, but cash flow frees you for a lifetime. Let your money move with wisdom, not impulse. And soon, you'll find that real wealth isn't about how much you have, but how long it lasts. One of the great tragedies of our modern world is that so many people trade their future for a photograph. They spend to impress, not to progress. They buy to be seen, not to be secure. But here's a truth I learned the hard way. Luxury today can destroy freedom tomorrow. You see, the poor spend to look rich, while the rich delay pleasure to stay free. Freedom, not flash, is the ultimate luxury. I remember early in my journey when I first started to earn a little more than I needed. The temptation to upgrade was powerful. A newer car, a bigger apartment, nicer suits. It all seemed like the natural reward for hard work. And for a while it felt good. But then I noticed something. Every time my income rose, my expenses followed. The numbers changed, but my stress didn't. I was living better, but not freer. That's when I realized if you let lifestyle rise with income, you'll always be running just to stay in place. The wealthy play a different game. They know that lifestyle is not a reward, it's a responsibility. They let their assets buy their luxuries, not their labor. They delay gratification not because they don't enjoy life, but because they understand timing. If you spend too early, you sacrifice the very engine that could have created freedom. If you invest early, the returns later buy all the comfort you want, without guilt, without pressure. That's not deprivation, that's wisdom. Lifestyle inflation is one of the greatest enemies of wealth. It whispers softly, you've earned it, you deserve it. And it's true, you do deserve it. But what you truly deserve is peace of mind, not payments. You deserve ownership, not obligation. I once met a man who made 10 times what I did, but couldn't sleep at night because debt owned him. Another man made half of what I did, but he was free because he controlled his lifestyle and invested the difference. The lesson? Freedom isn't about how much you earn, but how much you control. I began setting a rule for myself. No lifestyle upgrade until my assets could pay for it. That meant no new car until investments covered the payment. No bigger home until dividends could pay the mortgage. It wasn't always easy watching others spend freely, but over time, my money began to work harder than I did. My luxuries became rewards for patience, not punishment for discipline. And I enjoyed them so much more because they didn't cost my freedom. Redirect your excess income into assets that appreciate, not items that depreciate. Buy appreciation, not admiration. The crowd may cheer for what you wear or drive, but time will applaud what you own and build. Don't measure success by what sparkles today, but by what sustains tomorrow. Remember, every dollar spent on image is a dollar stolen from legacy. Build first, shine later. Because the goal isn't to look rich, it's to be free. Most people think wealth is built through secret formulas or complex strategies known only to a few. But the truth is, the rich don't chase complexity, they compound consistency. They master a few simple principles, apply them faithfully, and let time do the heavy lifting. Complexity may look impressive, but consistency creates results. Wealth is not built in leaps, it's built in layers, one steady action at a time. I remember when I first started learning about money, I was fascinated by the people who seemed to have the magic touch, buying at the right time, selling at the right time, making big, bold moves that turned small sums into fortunes. I tried to follow that path, but I soon realized something. Excitement is not a strategy. Most people lose money not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack patience. They want to skip the slow climb and go straight to the summit. But every shortcut in wealth ends up being the long way around. The wealthy understand that the greatest force in the financial world is compounding. Not just the compounding of money, but of discipline. Small, smart decisions repeated faithfully grow into extraordinary results. You don't need to be brilliant to be wealthy. You just need to be consistent long enough for your discipline to outperform everyone else's excitement. Let me give you an example. Imagine you invest a small amount regularly, month after month, year after year. At first it seems small, almost insignificant. But consistency turns, drops into streams, and streams into rivers. I remember a young man once asking me, "What's the best investment I can make?" I told him the one you can stick with. Because an imperfect plan you follow is far better than a perfect plan you abandon. The markets will rise and fall. The world will change. But discipline compounds when chaos fades. In my own life, I found that when I simplified my approach, my results improved. Instead of trying to predict the market, I focused on a system: invest regularly, reinvest profits, and avoid emotional decisions. Over time, the results were remarkable. Not because I outsmarted the system, but because I outlasted my impulses. And that's what separates the financially free from the financially fragile. The rich build systems that reward discipline, not excitement. They automate good habits, regular investments, constant learning, patient reinvestment. They don't ask, how can I get rich fast? They ask, how can I stay consistent long enough for compounding to take over? The answer lies not in brilliance, but in behavior. So, don't complicate your journey. Keep it simple. Save, invest, reinvest, repeat. Over time, those small steps become massive strides. The magic of compounding is not in the numbers. It's in the patience behind them. Remember, excitement fades, but discipline multiplies. Wealth isn't won by those who move fastest. It's won by those who move faithfully. Stay steady, stay simple, and let consistency be your greatest investment. There comes a point in your financial journey when you realize that real freedom isn't about having to chase money. It's about building money that chases you. Most people spend their lives watching over their income, guarding it, worrying about it, managing it every day like a fragile bird that could fly away at any moment. But the wealthy, they build wealth they don't have to watch. Their assets earn while they sleep. Their systems grow while they rest. Their money works harder than they do. When I was young and just getting started, I believed that success meant staying busy, always working, always hustling. If I wasn't doing something every hour, I felt guilty. But over time, I learned that busyness and productivity are not the same thing. The goal isn't to work endlessly for money. It's to create a structure where money works endlessly for you. Money. True wealth is quiet, automatic, and self-sustaining. Imagine this. Every dollar you earn as an employee, you can either let it sit idle in your wallet, or you can give it a job. The rich don't let their money take vacations. They put it to work in investments, systems, and opportunities that multiply it over time. And once those systems are built, they don't need to hover over them. They just check in, adjust course, and let the engine run. When I built my first passive income stream, it was small, almost insignificant, but it was mine, and it grew without me having to watch it every day. I automated my savings, set my investments to reinvest dividends, and made my payments automatic. That simple act freed my mind to focus on bigger things, creating, teaching, and building new ventures. The stress melted away because I no longer had to babysit my money. My system was doing the heavy lifting. And that's what freedom feels like. Not waking up wondering if the next paycheck will come, but knowing that your assets are producing income whether you show up or not. Maybe it's a digital business that sells while you sleep, a rental property that pays monthly, or investments quietly compounding in the background. The beauty of automation is that it replaces anxiety with confidence. The poor often believe control means doing everything themselves. The wealthy understand control means building systems that do it for you. You don't have to be the pilot of your wealth every day. You just have to be the architect who designs it to fly. Review it quarterly, fine-tune it annually, but don't live tied to it daily. Freedom is not just about money. It's about peace. It's the confidence that your wealth is growing even when you're not watching. That's when you know you've crossed from surviving to thriving, when your assets are at work while you're at rest. Build that kind of wealth, and you'll never chase money again. It will quietly, faithfully find its way back to you. One of the great secrets of wealth is learning the discipline to build before you buy. The temptation to reward yourself early is strong, especially when you've been working hard, putting in the hours, and finally seeing money come in. But here's the truth most people never learn. The rich don't reward effort, they reward results. They don't buy comfort before they've built cash flow. They let their assets, not their emotions, fund their desires. When I was starting out, I remember wanting to buy a new car. I thought, I've earned it. But a mentor of mine stopped me and said, don't buy the car, build the car payment. That struck me. What he meant was simple. Don't spend from income, spend from investment returns. Let your money create something that pays for what you want. That lesson changed everything for me. I didn't buy that car right away. Instead, I invested in a small venture that over time generated enough to pay for it, and every car since, the satisfaction wasn't in the purchase, it was in knowing it didn't cost me freedom. The poor often confuse ownership with success. They buy things that look like wealth, the bigger house, the newer phone, the flashier car, but those are not assets. They are obligations disguised as status. Every purchase that drains your pocket instead of filling it is a liability, no matter how shiny it looks. The wealthy delay the applause. They understand that patience funds permanence. They build the foundation before decorating the house. When you live by this principle, your mindset shifts. You begin to ask different questions before every purchase. Will this feed me once or feed me forever? Will this give me joy today or freedom tomorrow? That's the internal dialogue of the wealthy. They delay gratification, not out of deprivation, but out of wisdom, because they know that when your money works first, it keeps working. But when you spend first, your money stops. Try this simple practice. Keep 2 accounts, one for building, one for living. Your living account is for expenses and enjoyment. Never confuse the two. When you want something big, a car, a trip, a new home, wait until your building account can fund it through passive income. That's not restriction, that's freedom earned through structure. The rich don't celebrate expenditure, they celebrate ownership. They don't buy to impress, they buy to express independence. Each asset they build becomes a silent employee working around the clock to buy them time, comfort, and choice. Every dollar spent on building multiplies. Every dollar spent on buying diminishes. So build before you buy. Create before you consume. Let your assets pay for your luxuries, because the greatest luxury of all is not the thing itself, it's knowing that it didn't cost you your freedom. Leverage is one of the most powerful forces in the financial world, yet it's also one of the most dangerous when misunderstood. It's like fire. It can cook your meal or it can burn your house down. The difference lies in how you use it. Leverage multiplies what you already are, your wisdom or your foolishness. If you're disciplined, it expands your reach. If you're reckless, it magnifies your mistakes. That's why the rich use leverage to grow wealth, while the poor use it to grow debt. When I was young and just beginning to understand money, I thought success meant doing everything myself, working longer, harder, faster. But there's a limit to how much time and energy one person can give. The wealthy discovered something different. You can multiply effort by leveraging not just money, but also time, people, and systems. Leverage, when used responsibly, is what transforms linear growth into exponential success. Let's start with money. Borrowing isn't bad, it's borrowing without purpose that destroys people. The rich borrow for productive assets, things that generate cash flow and appreciate over time. The poor borrow for comfort, for things that lose value the moment they're bought, If you take a loan to buy a car that only takes money out of your pocket, that's debt. But if you take a loan to buy equipment that earns money, or to invest in real estate that pays rent, that's leverage. The goal isn't to avoid borrowing, it's to borrow wisely, with intention and calculation. Then there's time, the most valuable form of leverage. The wealthy don't spend their days doing tasks that others can do for them. They delegate and automate. I remember when I first hired someone to handle my routine paperwork. At first, it felt uncomfortable. I thought I was losing control, but what I gained was time. Time to think, to plan, to create. That's the secret. You don't build wealth by managing every small thing. You build it by freeing your mind to focus on the big things that move the needle. And finally, leverage people, not by using them, but by empowering them. Build teams, partnerships, and networks where everyone wins. The greatest fortunes are never built alone. When you combine your vision with the effort, ideas, and resources of others, you expand your capacity beyond what any one person could achieve. That's how empires are built, through collaboration, not isolation. But remember this, leverage is a servant, not a master. The moment you stop respecting it, it will turn on you. Don't overextend, don't chase shortcuts, and never leverage out of greed. Use it with discipline, guided by knowledge and purpose. Leverage used foolishly creates chaos. Leverage used wisely creates freedom. It's the difference between drowning in debt and sailing toward destiny. Respect the tool, master its use, and it will multiply not just your income, but your impact. Every dollar you earn has a destiny. It will either work for you or work for someone else. Most people don't realize that money, much like a soldier, is meant to go out, conquer new ground, and come back with reinforcements. But for many, money never returns because they send it out without direction, without discipline, without a mission. Idle money is wasted opportunity. It sits still, loses value, and quietly slips away through impulse spending. The rich understand this truth deeply. Every dollar must serve a purpose, or it will serve someone else's purpose. I remember when I first began learning about the true nature of money. I used to think earning was the hard part and spending was the reward. But over time, I realized that how you command your money is what separates the broke from the free. Every dollar that comes into your life is a tool, a servant, a soldier under your command. It's waiting for orders to build something, to protect something, or to multiply something. If you don't give it orders, it will find its own mission, often in the form of someone else's product, service, or advertisement. The rich give every dollar a job. They assign it roles. Some go to investments to build wealth. Some go to savings to create stability. Some go to giving to expand purpose. There's structure. There's intention. They don't see money emotionally. They see it strategically. The poor see money as a ticket to spend. The rich see it as an army to grow. When you begin to think of your dollars this way, your relationship with money transforms. It's no longer something to possess, it's something to deploy. Each month, review your finances like a general reviewing the battlefield. Ask yourself, are my soldiers winning or retreating? Are they multiplying or being wasted? That's what it means to audit your money, to make sure every dollar is moving, every resource is productive. If you have profits, don't let them sit idle. Reinvest them. Let them compound. Because expansion doesn't come from earning more, it comes from redeploying what you already have with intelligence and consistency. I once took a small portion of my earnings and invested it in a simple venture. Not a grand opportunity, just something steady. Over time, that small army of dollars grew, and those profits became new soldiers. That's the power of reinvestment, the act of turning one victory into another. It's how fortunes are built, one disciplined decision at a time. So, give every dollar a mission. Don't let it rest or wander. Make it work. Make it grow. Make it contribute to something bigger than consumption. Because when your dollars are disciplined, your wealth is inevitable. Turn every dollar into a soldier, and soon you'll have an army strong enough to win your financial freedom. You can tell a lot about your financial future by looking at the company you keep. Wealth is contagious, but so is poverty. The ideas, habits, and conversations that surround you shape your beliefs about what's possible. If you spend your time around people who complain about opportunity, you'll start to believe opportunity doesn't exist. But if you spend time with those who create it, who see possibilities where others see problems, you'll begin to think differently, act differently, and ultimately live differently. When I began my journey, I didn't have wealth, but I had something more valuable, access to people who thought bigger than I did. I remember sitting in rooms where I didn't belong yet, listening more than I spoke, taking notes when others were talking about investments, strategy, and growth. Those conversations stretched my thinking. They forced me to realize how small my financial goals were compared to what was possible. I learned that proximity to greatness creates pressure to grow. The more I surrounded myself with achievers, the more my standards rose, not out of competition, but inspiration. The poor often talk about money as a limitation. The rich talk about it as a tool. The difference isn't intelligence, it's influence. If your circle spends their weekends spending money, you'll think spending is normal. If your circle spends their weekends creating value, you'll think building is normal. One environment breeds consumption, the other breeds creation. That's why it's essential to audit your circle regularly. Ask yourself, do the people around me challenge me to grow, or do they comfort me into staying the same? Because comfort is often the first step toward decline. Surrounding yourself with financial giants doesn't always mean meeting billionaires in person. You can connect through books, talks, and mentorships. Read biographies of investors, entrepreneurs, and thinkers who've built legacies. Study how they think, not just how they earn. Wealth is a philosophy before it's a result. When you absorb the mindset of builders, you begin to recognize patterns, principles of patience, discipline, and long-term vision that the wealthy live by. Join a mastermind, a business group, or a network where conversations revolve around creation, not complaints. Iron sharpens iron. Every meaningful leap I made in my career came after exposure to someone who was miles ahead of me, someone who made me realize how much more I could be. Don't be the smartest person in the room, be the most curious. The ones who grow are not those who know everything, but those willing to learn from those who've done more. Wealth begins in the mind, but it grows in the company you keep. Your environment either expands or contracts your potential. Replace envy with examples. Admire success instead of resenting it. Let those ahead of you pull you forward through their standards and vision, because in the end, your net worth often mirrors your network. Choose your circle wisely, and your wealth will rise to meet it. I've often said, don't start planting 10 gardens when you haven't yet learned to water one. The temptation today is to chase every opportunity, a little crypto here, a side hustle there, a business idea next week. But that kind of scattered effort rarely leads to wealth. It leads to exhaustion. The rich understand something the average earner overlooks. Diversification is a reward for mastery, not a substitute for it. Before you build multiple streams, you must first master one river. When I was young and struggling, I used to dabble a little of this, a little of that, thinking that activity alone meant productivity. But I learned quickly that focus creates flow, and flow creates fortune. You can't plant seeds in 10 fields and expect a harvest if you never tend any of them properly. The rich know this. They become great at one thing first, they build excellence and systems around it, and only then do they expand. Diversification without discipline is nothing more than distraction dressed in opportunity's clothing. Focus is the secret ingredient most people ignore because it isn't glamorous. It's slow. It requires saying no when everyone else is chasing the next shiny thing. But that single stream, that one river you master, becomes your foundation. It gives you resources, confidence, and skill to build other income sources intelligently, not desperately. Once you've built one solid flow, then you can take its profits and branch out into investments, partnerships, or side ventures that complement, not compete with, your main source. I remember a friend of mine who ran a small printing business. Instead of trying to do everything, websites, design, marketing, he focused on perfecting one thing: quality printing and client relationships. That business grew solid, dependable income. Only then did he reinvest his profits into related fields: digital printing, packaging, and finally e-commerce. Each new stream flowed naturally from the first. That's how real diversification works. It's strategic, not impulsive. The poor diversify out of fear. They scatter their attention because they're afraid one thing won't work. The wealthy diversify out of strength. They expand because one thing already does work. There's a world of difference between building safety and escaping failure. You can't multiply what doesn't exist. So first, build one river strong enough to sustain you. Then let its overflow feed new channels. Every year, review your income sources. Are they strong? Do they serve each other? Or are they stealing focus from one another? True wealth doesn't come from juggling 10 fragile streams. It comes from mastering one powerful flow that funds the rest. Remember, success isn't built by chasing every wave that comes along. It's built by learning how to ride one until you can create waves of your own. So, master first, multiply later. Focus creates the wealth, diversification protects it. One solid river, then many streams. That's the rhythm of real prosperity.